name is LoeyLane, and I'm so excited to tell you guys about my new podcast, Internet Urban Legends, with my BFF Snitchery.
We deep dive into the darkest corners of the internet to uncover whether some of the most notorious web myths are hoax or whether they're con. Internet Urban Legends, available exclusively on Spotify.
Hello, my loves. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you are new here. Hi, hello. My name is Loey, and I'm back. Baby, I missed you. One of the biggest things that happened online during my break from YouTube was Kane Pixel's The Backrooms found footage. This wound up going insanely viral all over YouTube, going over into TikTok and Twitter and other platforms. Curiosity got the better of me, and you know I had to deep dive into this series from start to finish. So once again, we are diving into the world of a found footage horror series, but before we get started, today we do have a sponsor. Thank you so much to Omaze for sponsoring this video. Omaze gives away one-of-a-kind prizes and experiences, all while donating money to different charities from around the world. Their sustainable method of fundraising means that these charities and organizations don't have to focus so much on raising funds, and instead can focus on the good work that they're doing. In this case, they are giving away a $100,000 cash prize to benefit Journey House. Journey House supports former foster and probation youth to live fully independent and successful lives. Journey House was founded in 1983 and provides emotional guidance, support, as well as financial aid to help with the cost of attending college and vocational schools. $100K is a huge cash prize. I know for me personally, if I won that kind of cash prize, I would probably put most of it towards saving for a house because I'm a boring adult. But also, I know so many people could use this to pay off debts, go on vacation, support their families. So if you want to enter for a chance to win $100,000, all while supporting the amazing charity Journey House, you can go to omaze.com/LoeyLane. Best of luck to you all, and thank you in advance for supporting this Omaze campaign. I think that the work that they do is really phenomenal. Not only do you get to enter for chances to win amazing prizes such as this, you also are supporting incredible charities all over the world. So thanks again to Omaze for sponsoring today's video, and now let's get into found footage of the Backrooms. At the beginning of this year, a video from Kane Pixels called The Backrooms found footage went viral and now sits at a whopping 14 million plus views. That's just at the time of recording this video, by the way. It's amassing millions of views every few days. With that kind of viewership, you know it's gonna be good. So I deep dove, starting at this video, going all the way through to the rest of the videos on the account. And let me just say, you guys are in for an absolutely wild ride. Before we get started talking about this series, I'd like to say that the best way to support creators of these found footage horror series, or just any kind of horror series in general, is always to watch the videos on their account. So I'm gonna have everything linked down below, and I do recommend that you give it a full watch through before watching my video. The Backrooms found footage opens up with a shot of a couple of teenagers making what we can assume is some sort of film, like a short film, some kind of horror movie. They're wearing like masks and seem startled by each other in the shot. As the cameraman backs up to get a wide angle shot, he stumbles, and suddenly we're transported to an entirely new scene. The footage now shows a seemingly abandoned yellow building, entirely empty except for our cameraman. Now, if you are familiar with The Backrooms, you recognize this footage from a mile away. It's an all too familiar sight of endless hallways and yellowing walls under fluorescent crackling lights. If you've ever seen a photo of the supposed Backrooms before, you've seen this location. Now, in case you haven't, The Backrooms is basically a location that entirely relies on the idea that we can no-clip out of reality, much like you can break boundaries in a video game. Think of the Backrooms as not quite finished, not fully rendered video game levels, stuff that didn't make it into the final edition of our world. So if you fall into those unloaded, unfinished levels of the game that we call life, there are approximately 600 miles worth of them to stretch across, all randomly segmented, with no one else around you and no way out. As our cameraman traverses the Backrooms, he calls out to his friends, of course, getting no response.
Hello? Is someone there?
Although we do see glimpses of a tall, slender figure darting behind walls when he turns around at one point. It's obvious that he's not alone, but we'll touch more on that later. As he traverses the long hallways, he hears almost what sounds like people talking. but when he calls out for help, there is never a response.
Can anybody hear me? Hello?
Eventually there's a break in the monotony, something new in the routine. We see black arrows sketched on the walls, leading to what almost looks like a mural of sorts, one hastily drawn on with like Sharpie or charcoal or something. There's a window sketched on the wall, almost as if it's mocking the cameraman or anyone who stumbles across it, to suggest that there's nothing to see there and no way out. There's also a pair of eyes, a set of handprints, but perhaps most interestingly a message. Don't move, it reads. Stay still. And then we hear it, that ear-piercing scream. Our cameraman turns around only to find the monster that we caught a glimpse of before running towards him. In the same concept that the Backrooms are like unfinished levels of our reality, the monster himself seems unfinished in a way. He's long and slender, but looks like all wires, almost like a stick figure without any meat on his bones. Despite its simplicity, however, this monster is surprisingly effective. It chases the cameraman through the Backrooms until he finds an escape into a new area. This time a house, which is like startlingly white cast compared to the yellow hallways of before. After the house, we end up in an abandoned building with a ton of repeating textures and hallways.
This isn't real. This isn't real.
And then somehow finds himself right back where he started, in those yellow hallways that he could barely escape from last time. As he walks, we see a chair fling itself across the room, and the cameraman wisely begins to run. Once again, the monster from before is chasing him here, and he hides himself into a small, like, cranny in the hallways. We get a closer look at the monster now, and we can see how intense and freaky it truly is. It looks like an amalgamation of cables and almost like there's like a camera of sorts on the head. Both futuristic and somehow very retro and unfinished. After finding our cameraman, the monster shoves him down into a hole, and in the next shot we can see that he is literally falling through the sky. The video ends as he crashes down into the earth with a single shot of grass. And that is our first entry into the Backrooms. We have multiple videos to follow that have already been uploaded onto the account, but even just by looking at the description box, there's more to see with this video alone. It reads September 23rd, 1996. And then there's a link to an unlisted video. It's titled so we assume March 11th _90 archive.tar. As we begin the video, we can see that the data is not accessible on it, and that the video is currently reformatting. Static images fill the screen. Everything from empty, somehow flooded rooms to faceless people working on typewriters and machinery. We see cables and machines, but perhaps most alarmingly, a man sitting at a computer with his eyes blacked out, looking out into the Backrooms from what seems to be a two-way mirror, or window, I guess, in this case. Either way, it's clear from this video at least that the Backrooms themselves are being studied by a group of scientists. But it almost lends itself to the idea that maybe the Backrooms were created by them. And again, this is something that we're going to touch on much more later. Regardless, I think it's a really interesting take on how the Backrooms came to be at all. People who like to talk about the theory often associate it with the idea that we are in the Matrix. You know, our entire existence is a simulation, which would mean that the Backrooms are like unloaded, unfinished areas of the simulation. However, this concept that perhaps the Backrooms were created by a group of people is a lot more interesting to me. If you, like me, are incredibly freaked out by the idea that perhaps the Backrooms were created by a group of people, then the next video is going to be right up your alley. The second upload on the channel that was not unlisted is called The Third Test, in which we are told that on July 2nd of 1988, the Async research facility tested its low proximity magnetic distortion system for the third time. Details regarding the results of this experimentation have not yet been released. But an interesting note here is that the intention of these tests, if given adequate backing from the government, would offer a solution. A solution to what? All current and future storage, as well as residential needs. It would even save billions of dollars in housing development. Now, not only do we know that the scientists have stumbled upon the backrooms, whether they created them or simply came across them, we know why they are so hell-bent on exploring them. It's for capitalism, baby. With the backrooms, we could cut home development costs and basically have an alternate dimension for people to live, to work, to store items. Primarily, of course, here we do focus on the housing and the storage. Pretty creepy to consider. Imagine you're hanging out with your friend and you're like, all right, see you later. And you go to, I don't know, a little portal thing, you jump in, and suddenly you're in the back rooms and you live with like 20 other people in a yellow, creepy, hallway filled building. Not how I'd like to live personally, but I see the appeal. Next, in First Contact, we are greeted by a logo from Async, which is the company mentioned in the last video. In this, we are shown a myriad of spinning, futuristic machines. We're also told that tons of modifications have been made to this technology and shown even more high tech that we can now safely assume is being used to power an entry to the backrooms. The extent of this technology is shown when they power up a large portal-like device, which again, we assume goes to the backrooms. And the energy from these machines literally makes the portal like explode with a bright energy light thing. What they see, this obstruction, is the backrooms, the familiar yellow hallways we've all grown to know. It would appear, as this video title suggests, that this was the first contact with the backrooms themselves. Now, the description box of this video has a link to another unlisted video, this time titled Collateral.mov, in which we see real-life news coverage of an earthquake that happened in San Francisco back in like 1989. This was a real-life thing that happened, and the news footage shown in this, at least from what I can gather, is entirely real. And the earthquake that happened in 1989 was huge. It caused casualties, loss of life, massive power outages, fires, and much, much more. What it would seem is being suggested by this video is that opening the portal to the backrooms that we saw in the last video, First Contact, was enough to literally create a massive, massive earthquake across California, and suggests the sheer force of these experiments and the power behind them and the destruction that they could cause. But it isn't just natural disasters we need to be worried about. After this, in 1990, a string of missing people began to be reported. The last video that we have to go over for now is titled Missing Persons. We see multiple different missing persons posters, everything from adults to a 2-year-old boy, all presumably lost to the backrooms. We transition then into footage from Async of people in hazmat suits exploring those backrooms. They're carrying like these big long tube things, maybe they're like ropes. Do you know how like in Stranger Things when they would go in, they would like take gigantic ropes with them and stuff so that they could be like yanked back out? That's basically what this suggests. Now, while these people are exploring the back rooms, the ones in the hazmat suits, they come across a massive black fungus on the wall. However, as the camera begins to focus more, you see that it's not just mold that they're so worried about. There is a perfectly lifeless body on the ground, staring back at them.
This makes no sense. This wasn't in the last report? No, this is definitely new. It's organic. Is some kind of fungus?
As they try to figure out what the body is, photos of what appear to be microscopic organisms flash across the screen, along with backwards text that reads, "If anybody, blame him." And that's where we leave off for now, with easily one of the best found footage series I've ever come across. The Backrooms found footage series is something that clearly has had so much work put into it, And I think that it's fascinating that I really can't tell where the line is drawn of what was real world footage taken from real natural disasters back in the 80s and 90s. What is real footage going through real abandoned buildings right now in 2022? And what is entirely like After Effects and special effects added in? This is a masterfully done series that really, really crawls under the skin. And I think is such a fascinating concept into expanding the world of the backrooms, which is a big fear that a lot of people have. We have a lot of fear of like liminal spaces and kind of abandoned architecture as a whole. So to expand it in this way and suggest that not only is this horror entirely real and now we can explore it further, but also there's an entire mystery, a conspiracy, a whole event behind why we know about it in the first place is really, really cool. For now, I want to know what you guys think of this one down below, and thank you so much for watching this video. I want to give a special thank you to my members here on this channel, taking a little break from my member shoutouts while I get caught up with my videos. But if you do want to join my members only side of the channel, all you have to do is hit that little join button somewhere around the screen. We would love to have you. For now, thank you again so much for watching. If you did enjoy, go ahead and give me a thumbs up, and please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I love you very, very much, and I will see you in my next video. I missed you.